My name is Daniel, and I'm here today to broach a subject that, admittedly, I haven't thought about very often within the confines of this home. A subject that has felt all-consuming in the midst of my daily activities, and yet happens to be a subject that I can honestly not say that I've ever approached candidly, especially outside the walls of this home. It's something that a lot of kids will never experience, for better or for worse. And it's something that masquerades as just another aspect of my life, even though this vague something I've been referring to has shaped me in a way unlike any other relationship I've ever had. This thing that I've been dancing around, the topic that I want to speak about today is my sister, Sarah, who was diagnosed with autism at the age of 4, and then later diagnosed with bipolar mood disorder and is currently dealing with a variety of mental health issues such as anxiety and depression. Yeah, that's a lot to take in. I just spouted a bunch of medical terms at you. Medical terms I am inevitably asked to tell someone about whenever I talk about this subject with other people, so I usually don't. Words like anxiety and mood disorder still carry a lot of stigma in today's world, which is why, for the sake of making things easier for the people in my life, we just don't go there. We don't talk about the various challenges I face in having a sibling on the spectrum. And yes, there are certainly challenges, but even more unfortunately, I don't get a chance to talk about all of the ways this experience has helped me to become a more caring, mature, and understanding person. So, rather than relegate this magnanimous topic to the confines of my household, I'm going to talk to you in broad daylight about the various ways the relationship with my sister has helped me to become the person I am today. I was born in 2000, while my sister was born in 1994, creating a sizable 6-year age difference between the two of us. That didn't stop us from becoming fast friends, apparently, according to the stories I often hear from my mother. My sister, excited to have a new playmate, would read to me from the time I was born, even if that meant waking me up from a nap. It was probably a nuisance to my mother, but this progressed as we each got older, and I was following Sarah and her friends around by the time I could walk, much to her annoyance. Our adventures in the woods, our romps on the playground, and the hours I spent decapitating her Barbie dolls as she desperately tried to save them from my wrath are a time I can hardly remember, but a time I know set the stage for what was to come. Undeniably, something eventually changed, as I started going to school and making my own friends, while the relationship with my sister became more turbulent. The shouting matches became more frequent and slap fights more heated, necessitating the intervention of my parents more than a few times. In short, we became typical siblings, each with our own lifestyle that was hopelessly intertwined with the others, even if this was not always welcome. It was also around this age that I found my sister hard to bear for another reason: her interests, which I would mockingly refer to as obsessions. In her preteen years, my sister had discovered the prolific cinematography of Antonio Banderas, watching any material featuring him that she could get her hands on with rapt attention. It was an interest I did not understand at the time, and one I was hoping would pass so that our conversations could turn to other topics. So, one fateful day that I still remember vividly in my mind's eye, my sister, inviting me into her bedroom, proudly declared that her infatuation with Antonio had ceased. I was excited as I raced between my room and hers, until she dropped the addendum to this renunciation of her idol, which was that she had found new solace in Bono of U2. As my sister's interest in rock and roll blossomed over those years, she found several artists who she attached to for short periods of time. The name Keith Richards seems to ring a bell right now, but eventually my sister did settle on one person who she found entirely satisfactory in his personal and musical endeavors, which would be David Bowie. Now, I'd like to direct your attention to the mantle behind me, upon which lie various photographs of the various members of our family. So, here's me at age 10, rocking that bowl cut, and then my sister, and here are my maternal grandparents, and here's our family around that same time those two were taken. and of course, David Bowie. Now, I don't think I or my sister can explain to you what David Bowie has become in our lives. But if you're ever curious, check out one of his albums or alternatively purchase the movie Labyrinth by Jim Henson, in which David Bowie plays the Goblin King, major adversary to the central character, who also happens to be named Sarah with an H. My sister can attest to the fact that it is a theatrical masterpiece. So, I just told you about a bunch of anecdotes that I haven't really connected at all to what this is supposed to be about, which is the impact having my sister as a sister has had on me. And I've already given you a few adjectives. I've had to be caring and know when my sister is having a bad day and when she needs some slack. I've had to be mature in recognizing the challenges my sister faces and choosing to help her overcome them, rather than mocking her for having them in the first place. And I've had to be understanding when she doesn't overcome the challenges, when that math class was just too hard, when that day was just too long, when I've already said something thoughtless to exacerbate the situation. I've had to be a lot of these things at times, sometimes all at the same time. But if I'm going to be honest with you here, I fail more than half the times I try to be all these things, and sometimes I don't try at all. But, fortunately, thanks to my sister, I am on the road to developing these qualities. And it's a long road, and I am not perfect, far from it. I see my own progress, mostly, in the way I treat other people, even beyond my sister. In public, when I see tantruming children, I no longer assume that the child simply has bad manners or awful parents. Instead, I consider that they could be having a bad day, or that maybe they too have certain challenges that prevent them from conforming to acceptable standards of behavior. But, enough about my supposed virtues. What I'd really like to spend my last minute on is my sister, and, in particular, one of her most promising attributes that I think goes underappreciated by many in this world. That is, her passion and focus. It can be said that most children develop interests, however unfocused those interests may be, and that they then channel those interests into professions when they get older. But in this whole process of finding your niche, my sister is on a whole other level. Her unwavering dedication to music, and, in particular, genres such as rock, punk, metal, alternative, and a whole bunch of other labels I can't even remember, is astounding to someone like me, who often squanders time I could be using to develop interests of my own. The extreme dedication my sister has had to her idols over the years, admittedly, might be termed just another part of the disorder, but to me, there's no negative connotation to being self-actualized in a way most of us will never be, and to be knowledgeable on a topic to the extent that I truly believe my sister could recreate one of the countless Bowie biographies she has read, if she tried. It is for this reason that I admire my sister, corny as it all sounds, because, really, I said I would be candid, and I am being candid when I say that my sister's passion for what she loves is inspiring, something I hope to glean from my sister as I move forwards into the world.
As you can see, having a sibling with autism can be as hard as having autism yourself.
Yeah, I think that's probably a really good way of putting it. But I really do hope that this video helped to accentuate the benefits of growing up with a sibling with autism. And I hope that you found this video to be useful and informative as well as enjoyable. And so, yeah, that's pretty much it. Have a nice day, and thank you for your time.